All right, everyone, thank you for getting back from your break on time. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, thank you. Next on our agenda, we will hear from INTAC, our 21st Century National TA Center, who is going to share some great information about the work that they've been doing thus far this year, and to possibly preview a little bit of what's to come. I will turn it over to Candace, Dr. Ferguson.
Thank you, Dr. Scroggins. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Good. Glad to be here in San Francisco. I don't know about you guys, but I'm from Texas, and it's super hot, so I got off the airplane yesterday, and it was amazing. I could just sit outside. So, as Dr. Scroggins said, my name is Dr. Candace Ferguson, and I am proud to serve as the project director for the INTAC, or the 21st CCLC National Technical Assistance Center. We're so happy to be back here with you today. I guess it was about 6-7 months ago, we were in DC at the winter meeting, and here we are in beautiful sunny California at the summer meeting. And back then we were just kind of telling you about the things that we were going to do or planning to do for the INTAC, and here we are several months later, coming back to tell you all about what we have done, and as Dr. Scroggins said, a little bit about what's to come. So my colleagues here today are Mr. Rob Levenberry. He's our IT team lead for the INTAC, and he's going to give you a couple of updates related to the website. And then our newest member of the INTAC is Mr. Sean Petty. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Mr. Sean Petty. He's been in the out-of-school time space and 21st century for many, many years, so we snagged him up and brought him to our INTAC team, and we're so happy to have him on board. So today I'm going to share a couple of updates with you, just kind of where we're going and some of the things that we've done, giving you updates that are pertinent to you all, but also to your subgrantees. And then Rob is going to give you some updates on the website and where we're going with that. We're really excited about not just the development with the website, but what we have to come. And Sean is going to share with you also a little bit about a new community network that we're building for y'all. But in order for us to be able to do that, we need your input. So before you leave today, we're going to ask you to fill out a survey, 6 questions. We're going to walk you through it. And this is really our opportunity, again, to just get the insight and information from you, and so that we can deliver, we can build, we can create things that you guys want and that you need. Just to kind of level set too, I always like to just review the vision and the mission of the INTAC. So our vision is to ensure that you all as SEA coordinators and your subgrantees have the knowledge and the information that you need that ultimately will help empower your students and your families to become lifelong learners. And the way we do that at the INTAC is to provide you the best practices, evidence-based resources, and the professional development and technical assistance that you want and need to help you do your jobs better. The way that we provide activities, and we've talked about this previously, but it's really through a multi-tiered systems of support for adult learners. So kind of the same concept that we expect and we deliver in schools with our kids, we want to do the same for you, because we all know that we all have different learning needs and learning styles. So this morning, I'm going to talk a little bit about the updates that are related to universal events, those events that we've been doing and putting out there for everybody. Later on this afternoon, after lunch, when we come back, we're going to talk to you a little bit more about the more targeted and intensive TA that we're providing through our individualized technical assistance plan process. So we'll talk more about that this afternoon. But just wanted to share a couple of updates for you all, what we have been doing. These are roughly monthly events that we hosted across, doing webinars, but across various topics. So back in May, we did just a, hey, here's who we are, here's what the INTAC can provide. All of this information specifically for you all, the events that we do, come out through the listserv. So hopefully you guys are getting those and you're able to register and sign up for them through the listserv. Because we want and need to engage you and create opportunities that you want to attend. So a good example of that is the office hours. We asked many of you over the last year what we would like to see in an office hours. And you all told us that you would like to have topic-based office hours. So we delivered the topic-based office hours, but we didn't really talk about it. So we just kind of talked about what you all wanted and what you all needed at the time. So we do want to get a little bit more of insight and input from you about what you'd like to see in this kind of online community, to have some time with your peers, because we know that's important, and to be able to share information and details and insight across the board. And you can see here we just did a couple of other different types of events. One was on monitoring for quality, and the other was about promoting reflection in adults. So these are just some basic topic areas that we've been able to offer in universal events for you. All of these are posted or will be posted on the SEA corner of the website. So many of you should already have access to the SEA corner. If you don't, feel free to send us an email to the info account, which you'll see in a minute, and we can get you access. All of the information from these sessions, from the winter session, this one here too, will be posted on the SEA corner. And this is just a little bit about where we're headed with you. So and this is just August, September, we're gonna be planning a lot more activities for you, but these topics were also needs-based. So all throughout this year, we've been collecting information from you about what you want, what you most need, and two topics rose to the top. First is project management. The other was sustainability, of course. We always know that's a hot topic. So these are just a preview of the events to come related to that, and then you can see also we'll have office hours, and we'll put out whether it's going to be topic-based or just a place for you all to come and get information that you need. And this is what we've been up to with your subgrantees. So if you can see, we've done a bulk of work in this space. We offer a variety of different types of events. So the first one you see here is what we call live events, or learning in a virtual environment. And these have been really good. We kind of do like a talk show kind of event for the live events, and we bring in subject matter experts. So you guys from the field, your subgrantees from the field. We talked about inclusion, which is one of the things that we know across the 21st century that there's a great need for that. So we've talked about inclusion, we've talked about multilingual learners in these events, and then we've also been able to do 2 series. So the first series that we just finished, I think it was last week, it was a 10-part series we did on servant leadership. So each event was going through the 10 pillars of leadership. And that was really well attended, and we've done a couple of those too. If you jump all the way to the far right here in conferences, you can see we've also done some events related to that topic. It's a very, very important hot button topic. Another one that we did that's also kind of related to managing student behavior, because that's something that we've heard across the board as well. We did a 4-part series on restorative practices. This year, we also implemented what we call huddles, which are quick 30-minute reviews of resources. Some of those resources we've created, but some are just really cool resources that we've come across that are out there that we want to highlight and kind of walk you through. So 2 examples, and one came from the department when we were talking about the FAFSA and getting students to complete the FAFSA. I know you guys don't have time to look because you're so busy, but there are so many good resources out there that we just do these quick 30-minute huddles to kind of give you a preview, give you the links to all of the information, and you can kind of go explore on your own. Again, all of these events are posted on the archived events page of the website, so you can go back and you can review them as you like. Office hours for subgrantees have been great. They've been really well attended. They really like to come in with their questions. So we'll collect questions either ahead of time or they come with their questions, and they just talk and engage with our experts in out-of-school time, but also with one another. And as I said, we've done a couple of conferences as well. We will come to you in your state conference, so if you want or need some help delivering your conference sessions and your presentations, let us know. We can come, and we would love to come and see y'all. And then this is just a little bit about where we're headed for subgrantees. We have another live event, again, on sustainability coming up. This is all, these are all for August and September. And We have a new Leaders Academy coming up as well next week, so hopefully that's timely for all of you that are going to be overseeing programs starting, and I know that you guys have lots of new staff out there, so have them come sign up to our Leaders Academy 3 days next week, the following week. We're also doing something a little different with the huddles because we've heard from sub-grantees like, hey, this is great, we like the 30 minutes, but we want to go a little bit deeper, we want more. So we're going to be pairing a 30-minute huddle with an hour office hour session so that we can kind of extend the topic and extend the learning that goes on for those particular topics. One that we're really excited about is we are going to be able to offer mental health first aid certification and training through the NTAC. So September 27th, we'll have a quick huddle to kind of go over that, and then an extended office hours to give a little bit more information how your staff can be certified. Last but not least, we have a couple of different events, just regular webinars coming up on different topic areas. And all of the events are at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We try to keep that consistent, and we are going to try and get on a more routine and consistent schedule for the different types of events that we're offering so that you and your sub-grantees can come to know Tuesdays is for office hours, or Thursdays at 1 p.m. I know I'm going to have a webinar or a huddle, so we're trying to get more consistent on that end. So that was just a quick overview of the different types of events that we have done, that we have coming up. Look forward to sharing more information with you this afternoon about the more targeted TA and intensive TA that we're going to be providing. But I want to turn it over to Mr. Levenberry to give you some updates on the website. There you go. Yep.
Good morning. It's good to see you all again. I remember we were together, what was that, January 24th? Yeah, and so we've done a lot of work since then. As you guys know, we've launched the website. We launched on March 13th, 2024. Applause? No? Thank you. And we were super, super excited about the work that we've done. So you guys remember our focus when we kicked this off was the SEA portal. By a quick show of hands, how many folks have been in, and I know the answer, how many folks have been in the SEA portal? Okay, we got some work to do. So we'll talk about the folks that have not gone to the SEA portal yet when we get to user engagement. So I'll tee that up now. But over the past 4.5 months, since March 13th, our team has been really busy. We have been focused on a number of enhancement activities to the website. Everything that Candace just talks about kind of lives on the portal, on the NTAC portal, so you'll be able to come check us out. So the enhancement activities are really focused on really touching every page of the platform, because we told you a few months back that this was not going to be a static website, and we meant that. It's a very dynamic platform, and we're constantly reviewing sites, looking at analytics to figure out what we can do better to make sure that you guys can come to the site and get the content that you need. In terms of some of those things that we've touched, the blogs, we've looked at professional learning. I really want to be out there talking, not here. All right, external resources, archive resources, and in addition to all of that work, what we've done is we've started and are actually in the final stages of our learning management system. You guys may remember we talked a little bit about that. In addition to the learning management system, we are now focused on a community engagement and learning platform that is affectionately known as the Knowledge Network. We are not wed to that name. It's basically a community of practice. So if you guys have some ideas of what we can call this addition to the platform, we'd like to get your input on that. And we'll be here for the next few days, hopefully having an opportunity to have a conversation or two with some of you. So if you have ideas or reasons why you've not been into the portal, we'd like for you to share those with us. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk engagement. And we'll start with the SA logins. I know for a fact that about 61 of you have logged in. So that leaves about 43 of you that I need to get with to talk about why you've not been in the portal and what we can do to make sure you log in and get access. As Candace mentioned, if you don't want to talk to me, which hopefully is not the case, you can go to our website and ask us information about that with the info account on the NTAC website. All right, so total usage. We feel really good about where we are with total usage. We have about 1,100 users coming to the site a month. We would like this to kind of creep up a little bit, and we have some ideas on how to make that happen. And we hope, again, to have a minute or two to talk with some of you to get your thoughts on how we might be able to increase user engagement. In terms of some of the pages that have been visited, as we talked about earlier, the professional learning page where all of the courses are housed. So we have a lot of action on this particular page. Archived resources where we have live sites. We have a link to the old Y4Y site. But most of the folks who are coming to the archived resources are coming for the live events that have been recorded. So a lot of good stuff there. What's new? Folks are coming to certainly see what's happening across the NTAC community. We have financial literacy. In addition to that, we posted some information about the summer symposium. So we'll continue to update that page as we go along. And last but not least, a very popular page is the About Us page. And so we're pretty excited to share with you all new things about the NTAC program. So last but not least, improving user engagement. We know through research that there are a few reasons why folks don't come to a website. And we've thought long and hard about this, and we feel good that none of these reasons really exist. So one would be kind of poor, excuse me. All right, I'll take that. Poor UI UX, right? And as you guys know, we've met with a lot of you as we were building the site out. We had a lot of listening sessions. We talked with you about what we thought might work, but we also understand that navigation and the user experience is important. So if things have changed, again, our commitment to you is to understand your needs so that we can make changes to the site to ensure that poor UI or UX is not an issue for you not coming to the site. Knock on wood for this one. Login issues, bugs, maintenance issues usually keep folks from coming to a site. We've not had any of those. And we've been pretty fortunate. We have a really solid team in place to ensure that the site, both from a technical architecture and information architecture, is solid. And so hopefully, and again, I'll knock on wood here, the site stays up so you can get access to it. And finally, the last issue that comes to mind, again, with research being kind of the basis for this, is a lack of understanding of the target audience. And this is kind of where it gets a little tricky, right? Because we want to make sure that we understand your needs. And if you're not coming to the site, we're not doing something right. And so what we want to commit to is spending time with you, be it today, tomorrow, or the next day, or even in weeks to come, to ensure that we understand exactly what it is that you need so that we can build it into the site so that it can be a platform that you come to and feel really, really good about. Do you think you guys can commit to spending a few minutes with me over the next few days? Yeah? Yeah? All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. All right, I love it. So appreciate your time. Let's see, and I think that's really all I have. I'll be here through Friday and really look forward to spending a few minutes with as many of you as possible. Thank you.
All right, well, what an honor it is to stand before this group. I feel like I'm talking to a group of like sports recruiters here because of the impact that you have every single day. It's so nice to be here. My task is really to help get some information, but before I do that, I have to do a pulse check on time. So how much time do I have to do this? Okay, like 10:15, okay. One thing I know from working in after school is you don't get in between the students and snack time. And with 21st century professionals, you don't get in front of lunch. So I want to make sure that I honor the time. So if I look at my phone, it's not that I'm checking my daughter's text, it's that I'm actually looking at the time. If you can, you might want to take a snapshot of this frame, but we're going to use a tool. You've probably heard of it. It's called Poll Everywhere. The poll will actually be open all day today and tonight. If you're like me and you work into the evening, you can answer. There are 6 simple questions. And so we're going to start first by doing a level setting question. So I see some folks are still taking some snapshots or logging in. You can log in by going to the QR tag, just scanning that QR tag, or if you have really good fingers, you can type in that URL and go there. It's pollev.com, 21st CCLC, NTAC 153. All right. So I don't see anybody. So here we go. There are 6 questions. You can take them as we talk. If you're like me, you probably switch task all the time. So feel free to switch task and listen and enter in info, because the info is more important than the listening piece, right? But first, we just want you to put up there, like, what state and U.S. territory are you from? So that's pretty simple. Just, wherever you're from, put it in there. While you're doing that, I'm going to tell a quick story about why we're soliciting feedback. When I first started working in after school in the Houston region of Texas, I thought that all the kids would want a magic program because Harry Potter, this tells you how long I've been in the program, Harry Potter was popular. And so we created a magic after school program, and we thought it was the greatest thing ever, and the kids did not come. Because even though we spent all this time, we didn't ask the kids what they wanted, and what they wanted was robots, because Transformers had just come out. And so then we changed gears, we did Transformers, and by that time it was something different. It was Beyblade or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that. So I learned really quick, before you build an activity, ask the kids. Well, I think training and material goes the same way. Before you spend all this time building a website, before you build a community of practice or a knowledge network or whatever you wanted to call this discussion forum piece, it's good to get some feedback. So that is why we're constantly asking for your feedback, because we don't want to spend a lot of time building something that only we go to. We want to create a premier destination for you to go to, because it's going to save you time. Rather than having you spend all your time developing resources, why not allow us to develop resources and you just spend what you do best, which is working with your subgrantees in the field? So with that, we have a question, and it's a little hidden on mine, but I'm going to step around and read it for you. But basically, it's what tools are you currently using to share information related to your work with your peer community? What we're really looking for is that secret sauce of how you get the message across. Do you secretly text each other? Do you use like forums? Do you use social walls like Padlet? Email newsletters? Let's see what we got. No one's responded yet. So any responses there? Responding, maybe it's just not coming through. I apologize. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, so we're talking about like how you communicate within your peer community, whether it be your local community, in your SEA, in your state agency, or sometimes we have heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but we've heard that you communicate with each other. Okay, so that is true. So, and I apologize, it doesn't look like it's coming through live. Oh, great. Woo. All right. Okay, so we got some. So it looks like, I'm going to step around, I apologize. I have a very loud voice. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Is it okay? Oh, okay. And Candace is going to make sure I stay on time. Yes. Okay. So if we look here, it looks like most folks are answering forums, something like discussion boards, chats, Slacks, Teams. Anybody want to share a specific one? Just real quick, just shout it out. Slack? What about like social media groups? Anybody really use social media? I see a couple of head shaking. Okay. And other. Anybody want to share a little bit more about the other? What's the other? A phone call? Oh, wow. Go figure, a landline, phone call, or a mobile. Got it. A listserv? Okay, the 21st century listserv to communicate? Okay, perfect. Anybody else have anything unusual or anything out there that we haven't? You developed your own special bot and you're going to be a millionaire because it's secretly communicating? All right, let's take a look at the next one. What do you need most from an online peer group? If we build something like a online community or a knowledge network, we don't just want it to sit there static. Or what usually happens with these type of communities, you build it, and then 3 months later you forget about it. And you go move on, because let's be real, you're very busy. The minute you put something on the discussion forum, your boss comes down the line and said, we need this report for such and such. Or APR data's due. Or something happens, so you don't ever come back. So what would get you to come back? Let's see. Most folks are saying collection of resources. Excellent. Forums and templates, some discussion groups, spotlight corner for best practices. Yeah, fun fact, the most viewed newsletter that we have was the one where we highlighted Dr. Scroggins. You know? Kind of. So we figure spotlights are really good. All right, 1% said other. Anybody want to share, like, what do you need most from this community? If we build it and we want you to come, what would you need most? Anybody want to share a quick thought? I can come to you if you need the mic. Or I'll repeat. You guys are a quiet group. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that we're tasked with doing is we have to establish practices for program income, and when individual grantees use state supplements, like funding for childcare, in order to enhance their program, and that's kind of a newer system. And so if you could provide any supports on how to have us comprehend our role in that.
Okay, so supports on how to comprehend a role regarding
State supplements for childcare as program income. And so when we're tasked with having our grantees or subawards, they have to apply to us on how to use this funding in a legal way and
Sure.
track it, and we have to make sure that we're monitoring that. And with state supplements, it is an income, so we want to make sure we understand how this is happening.
Sure.
But it's so new that to wrap our minds around this process, it's challenging. And so if there's any support you can give in that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We captured that on video and recording, so that because there's a lot to
I'll talk to you more if you want.
and there's a lot to unpack. So we'll definitely chat. Yes, ma'am.
So what I want to say, I wish I could just call you on the phone, Sean. We're supposed to work with our statewide after-school networks.
Okay.
I think having, it's kind of like going topical.
Sure.
Offering support and information exchanges that allow us to set good expectations with that kind of a work. So we're hearing both from networks and from 21 CCLC. The state networks have a TA provider, After School Alliance, although they used to be just separate. Now, there's a 21 CCLC group at the After School Networks, and I don't even know what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, but that's,
Yeah.
she's going to grab the mic from me any second now. But I would like to know what's going on so I can be a better partner.
And that's a lot, because you have a really good partnership, if I remember correctly, with your state network. Was. But
I think I went really deep, but if I could pull that out, maybe
Sure.
the things that states are encountering as challenges,
Okay.
and a place to kind of put that so that we could get that support, and others might learn from our challenges, because certain states may face them first, and then it will prepare others.
absolutely, thank you. So for a discussion forum item or a community of practice, or from a high level, having just overall challenges and sharing amongst each other, because who better to talk than the people in the field, right? You folks know what's going on across the United States, so let's bring that. But on a deep level, some specific topics like income and some other things. And then, of course, building a better network so that we know what's going on. All right, perfect. We're going to move on. We have a few more questions, so I'm going to jump to another question. Let's see here. I will jump back up and go to the next question. All right. What would drive you to the 21st CCLC Intact website, making it a premier destination. So I just came from Texas, and Sarah is here somewhere, Sarah Daly, or was. Might have stepped out to take a call, but we spent a lot of time building our own web page, and we spent a lot of resources building a web page. But when I started with Intact just 3 weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I building a web page when you're doing it for me? Like, oh, there she is. Hi, Sarah. I'm like, and Rishama. I'm like, why am I building this website when there's a website there? So what could we do to make this website be that premier destination that you can turn to as SEA leaders, also that you could turn to as your subgrantees? You could send your subgrantees to and say, you need to learn about restorative practices, go here. So let's take a look. Personalized support and responses, regularly updated resources, which is exactly what Robbie said. User-friendly professional development tracking tools, and some other. For that other, can I dig into that? Anybody want to share a little bit about that other? Okay, and thank you for holding the microphone.
I think it would be helpful. I know a lot of SCA coordinators, we spend a lot of time trying to develop engaging trainings and simulations and workshops to help our subgrantees with their continuous improvement. So really having a place where I could just hop on and say, we're focusing on safety this month. What are some resources and workshops? And not just the information. We know the policies, we know what they need to do, but engaging training ideas and materials to be able to just quickly grab and implement those. I think that would be extremely helpful, and just really aligning to our monitoring checklist and our continuous improvement methods. So that safety piece, the program piece, the fiscal piece, just really looking at that administrative piece, because a lot of our directors turn over and struggle with that. So being able to send them somewhere that have those quick training materials would be really helpful.
And so if I could ask a clarifying.
And particular to out of school time, not just pulled from,
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the resources talk about K through 12, which is great.
Sure.
I mean, we're serving schools and youth, but specifically in the out of school time space.
Okay, and then for those resources, you had said a couple of things. So were you looking at more slanted a little bit towards that state support piece, like around the monitoring, the critical elements, the items that you need to respond to, having your subgrantees be able to respond up to you so that you can respond? Or are you looking more for driving down to the subgrantee and frontline level?
Well, I would like to see both,
Okay.
to be honest, because I think we
Equal.
spend a lot of time training our directors on how to train their frontline staff, right? We can't always be in the same place, and sometimes turnover happens at different times. So looking at that SEA support and training, but then also how do our program directors or those program leaders implement some of those trainings and pieces so that their frontline staff are aware that these are actually rules and regulations. It's tied to something that we're not just making up, right? Like safety is a piece, and these are the critical elements. Or safety is obviously on my mind because that's what we're training on right now, but other pieces as well, behavior policies and stuff like that.
Okay, and then making sure that we do the lift and make sure it's evidence-based and aligned to all the monitoring tools so that you don't have to. You can just grab and go.
Yeah, and connected to out of school time, not just that K through 12 piece. I think that's really where I spend a lot of my time, and
Sure.
and Christian does as well, is we take resources and they're great, but we need to look at, okay, our CBOs, they might be in a school site, they might be at their organization, but then we also have school districts in different places as well. So looking at what that space looks like.
Got it. Thank you so much. I think I do have time for one, maybe two more. Okay? Right there, and then I'll come over here. Oh, we'll come over here first, and then we'll wrap up. All right.
Okay, I know there's a lot of stuff in the learning management system for those frontline staff because I was part of the Y for Y when you created it. So keeping that stuff, updating that stuff, and making it available for us to have credit given through our registry. And that's something we've been working on in Michigan with you guys, and I'm hoping that other states will connect that too, because I think that getting the training is one thing, but getting credit for the training is another thing that's really important to the staff.
And you actually have a higher ed
Yes, well, for after school, we have a higher ed connection with a credential, but we also have just within our licensing process, and most of you, if you have childcare licensing programs, they have some sort of a registry for professional development. I would say the majority of states have that through the Department of Human Services childcare programs. We've connected our out-of-school time programs to that all the way through high school, even though childcare only goes to age 13. We connected all of our staff to that. We also connect that registry to our state professional development for teachers registry, where they get credit for their continuing education clock hours. So all of that is connected through the state, and our folks really, really want that all the time. They're always asking, are we getting credit for this training? So every training that we offer gives them credit for those clock hours of training, continuous improvement.
All right, did we have one more?
Yeah, quickly, I'd love to see more coordination with existing U.S. Department of Education initiatives like Engage Every Student, and our Title IV-A partners with their NTAC, and so we can share a few more resources and do better coordination, which is part of our monitoring, at the state level.
Thank you so much. I know one of the elements is to demonstrate how you're embedding U.S. Department of Ed initiatives as well as state initiatives into your program, and that goes back to aligning with items that are not just K through 12 standard traditional day school, but aligning the after school with the school and being one ecosystem, right? So perfect. We do have 2 follow-up questions that are in there. These are we just want to remind you they're in there. We've asked them before. So we'll just throw them out, and I'm kind of at time, so I'm just honoring that. But here's the first question. It's what continues to be your most pressing need for professional learning? And then the second one is what continues to be the most pressing need for your actual sub-grantees? Thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it back to Candace.
Thank you again so much. I know lunch is next, right? So no, we have another presentation. Okay, I'm going to call Dr. Scroggins up here, but just wanted to say thank you again and let you all know that we are here specifically for you, for the 21st CCLC community, and we want and value your feedback. So thank you so much for your time this morning, for your feedback, and we'll see you all this afternoon.
Thank you. Before I introduce Ms. Medina to present on fiscal, I did want to share that this spring we did award NTAC with a supplemental grant, and we are really excited about that. The last, I think, summer meeting we had, an induction program came up, and it was something that we started to work on in the department's office last summer, but we didn't have enough capacity to get it across the finish line. So that's one of the initiatives that NTAC is going to take on, an induction program for new SEA coordinators. And also, they're going to begin, I believe, in a few months, support for summer learning for 2025. Looking ahead, knowing that sub-grantees start planning in the fall, they're going to provide supports around that, as well as community violence prevention and intervention activities that support students who have been impacted by trauma and to engage disconnected youth. So we're really excited about the supplemental supports and services that they'll be able to provide. In addition, I asked them, we talked about the NRG earlier this morning, to help with the actual putting what's in the NRG into practice. We've asked them to complete create an implementation guide. So they will connect whatever questions are in the NRG to a guide to help practitioners to be able to easily put the NRG into practice. So we're super excited about that. So next up, I would like to introduce our colleague Carmen Medina from Pennsylvania, who's going to share her best practices in fiscal.
you so people can see me.
So Carmen is smaller than I am. So we're gonna have to get this down for her a little bit. This is good enough.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I always have that problem in Pennsylvania. Only found one hotel that the podium you could press and go down. So, thank you for inviting me, and I know I'm between lunch and coming back on time for the afternoon session. But I'm very honored that I was invited to talk about our fiscal process, which I call it in Pennsylvania, the buck stops here. Because the reality is when the federal office comes, they don't go to your grantee, sub-grantee and ask them questions about how you spend the money. They come to you. So we have to have at the state level very strong measures on how we're gonna monitor the money. And we do that. We are very strict with our sub-grantees on how they spend the money. We do, as you know, is reimbursement grants. And what we do is that on the 10th of each month, our sub-grantees must submit their expenditure reports. But they must attach to those expenditure reports all the supported documentation that is going to support that report. Each state probably has a different expenditure report. Ours is just the general categories, salaries, benefits, supplies, et cetera, so it's very generic. So if they're gonna put that last month they spent $20 in supply, they have to attach those invoices, receipts, everything that is gonna add to $20. We even ask for payroll copies, the sign-up sheets of their teachers, of everybody that is working and is getting paid, and also they attach benefits, how they're paying benefits for that month. I'm very lucky that I was able to reclassify positions in my office, and I have 2 fiscal people assigned exclusively for 21st Century. One is a supervisor on the fiscal area, and she deals with the biggest global, like any audits, any the contracts, and the other only pays the bill, like I call it. She has a spreadsheet, every grantee is there, identified for fund commitments, and every month she writes how much it was paid. If there is our controllers don't deal with the receipts or the supportive documentation. That's us. I think 21st Century is the only program in the Department of Education Pennsylvania that asks for receipts. So we have what we call FTP, that is the File Transfer Protocol System, and that's where they upload all their receipts, and that's where our fiscal person goes and compare the expenditure report. Also, our fiscal person is completely trained on the do's and don'ts, on the allowables of the program, what 21st Century said, what the uniform guidance said, and she looks, and if there is something that doesn't make sense, for example, their grant said that they're serving 100 kids, but we receive an invoice for 300 laptops, she puts a stop. She contacts the program officer, she contacts the grantee, and we question the grantee. And until we are not completely clear and convinced that that expense can be paid, we don't pay. And trust me, we see things. We see things that I created. We moved into a new building and I haven't been able to create that wall, but we created a wall of shame. I don't know, Julie, if you ever saw it, but Julie's our program officer, but we created a wall of shame because the things that we saw from our sub-grantees were things that you never, ever, ever will believe. I had to give them credit. They are honest. They are honest. But why do you have a rental
rental car when you went to the Summer Institute in Arizona. You don't need a rental car. You flew, take a cab, take a taxi, take a Uber. Oh, because somebody in my office, I swear this is true, somebody in my office told me that I cannot come back to Pennsylvania until I drive to the Grand Canyon and see the sunset. And we're like, excuse me? I said, no, we're not paying you for that rental. And was an LEA, wasn't a CBO. So we talked to the superintendent and said, we're not paying for that expense. That's not approvable. Oh, why do you want to do this revision? Oh, because the clerical is going to lose her job, but she never worked for 21st Century, and we need to make sure we keep it. No, we don't require a clerical person, so no. So we look at all that, and we have our wall of shame that hopefully before I retire, it's going to come up again. It's very entertaining, by the way. Yeah, one of the biggest stories is a subgrantee email, one of our program officers. You saw that the time says, the caption was, please review this budget revision so I can go home. When I look at the time, 11:59 p.m., I'm like, is he still in the office at 8 o'clock the next morning? Because we don't work third shift here. So we have all the stories, and I'm pretty sure you guys have your own set of stories. And get your wall of shame, it's entertaining. So our fiscal officer is always communicating with the program officer if there is anything out of unusual. If they don't submit receipts, we park that invoice until we get the receipt. I don't care how much you need the money, but you have to give us the proof of that. Everything is fine, we approve it, I sign it, goes to the controllers to be paid. Like I said, we have a spreadsheet, all the grantees, sub-grantees go there, and we keep track for payments to make sure there are not double payments. And all the discrepancies, we have to resolve it before they see a payment. We do advance payments. For the advance payments, they had to submit, when they submit their application, their request of how much the advance payment is 25% of the first year allocation, and they had to put it on a letterhead of their agency and signed by somebody that has signatory approval. And we don't give them any additional money until the advance payment is completely satisfied. When they start submitting expenditure reports, we start subtracting from the advance payment. And when the advance payment is zero, then that's when they can access the additional funding. We also, the 21 APR, I shared this with Dr. Scroggins a couple of weeks ago when she was in Pennsylvania. Our rule in 21 APR is 3 weeks before the actual window closes is the due date that we give our subgrantees, because we always have stragglers, to give ourselves time for those stragglers. But anybody that do not submit the data on time, we do not pay. We do not reimburse them. We park their invoices, and they know. And this is something we tell up front from the beginning, and we send them an email when the window opens of the 21 APR. If you do not submit the data by X date, you are not getting reimbursed. And we keep track in the system of who has submitted data, and when that due date comes, we give a list to our fiscal person. You are not paying these people. And they don't get paid. what happened? The window closes, it's not going to reopen for them. We still request the data in spreadsheets to us, and we collect that data. When they submit it, if they submit it 2 months later are gonna see the first payment. We are not gonna pay them. And due to that, we are getting close to 100% on submissions. But we have to do that because Julie calls me, and I mean, anytime it's only like 95%. Carmen, what happened? so that we had to do that because if not, like I said, the buck stops here. Another thing that we do is the indirect costs. Grantees are allowed to have restricted indirect costs, but in Pennsylvania, LEAs have the indirect costs, but LEAs have to request that when they submit their final report to the controller's office. We have in Pennsylvania over close to 720 LEAs, and a very small percentage of them ask for the restricted indirect costs. So if an LEA doesn't ask, we don't give them the indirect costs because the Commonwealth didn't approve it. For the CBOs, if they want an indirect cost, they have to submit a request to our office. And they have to submit it when they are applying for the grant. And we put a cap of 8% with them, and they have to tell us what they're gonna include under the indirect costs. And if you go to the Uniform Grant Guidance under section of indirect costs, it's gonna tell you what is part of the indirect cost. And they're gonna tell us there, we're gonna pay for a percentage of the clerical, or of the bookkeeper, or maintenance, or the custodial, whatever it is, but they have to be specific. Because if not, what's gonna do is they're gonna still charge indirect costs, and those people are still gonna be part of their employees, of the salaries. When they can, my policy is the money is to serve our kids. I'm not an employment agency. This program is not an employment agency, so you have your indirect costs, you're included there, those categories, those things that you have of indirect costs. And that's what we look on that. We get, the program used to get annual audit from the state audit office. Because of these systems that we have so strict, we haven't received a request of audit since pre-COVID. Because if they said, oh, how do you know that you're paying the money, that the money you're paying is correct? We pull all the receipts and we give it to them. And they have found that every dollar that we give them, we pay, we have a reason, we have a receipt for that. I know every state works differently, and there are the do's and don'ts on your state, but I strongly recommend, if you don't have this practice, to do it, because that's how you're gonna know that the dollars are actually going where they're supposed to be. We also, what we do to make sure that the dollars are being spent, we do attendance letters to grantees. We have 85% of the number of students that they said they're gonna serve a year. We expect them to serve a minimum of 85%. And if they are not, we collect their attendance every month. And if they are not, then they get a warning letter. We send our technical assistant team. We provide all kinds of resources. and we give them until the end of the school year. If by the end of the school year, they haven't made any advancement with attendance, they don't have any efforts, our technical assistant team said, have been there 3 times, nothing had happened, we then proceed to reduce their award. And we said, your average number of students is so many, and this is how much your award is now. Because the money, we can use it for other things. When it comes to program income, we offer to them the opportunity, we give them all the requirements, and as of right now, I think Julie only has received 1 request a long, long time ago. They had been shy about because they think it's too much work, and you have to send it to Washington. No, 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 no. So we don't have requests of program income. When it comes to renewability, because our grants are 5 years, our Commonwealth has a rule, a policy that no grant can be more than 5 years. So we are not allowed to do renewability. And if we do it 3 years, they only were allowed to give 2 years of renewability, which doesn't go with the definition. So we don't provide renewability because the Commonwealth won't allow us to do that. Lastly, because I know everybody wants to go and eat, the budget revisions, we allow budget revisions throughout the year. Some places, they have certain dates because we want them to ask permission instead of forgiveness, and before they spend the money, to talk to the program officer, explain, and they can submit the program revisions, and then if it's something that is merits, then we will approve that, and they can go ahead and do whatever they want to do. So they had to give us a justification and the reason why. Sometimes is we didn't spend enough money in the supply category, but we wanted to hire a new teacher, so we're going to move the money. That makes sense. But others, I want to take the kids to Disney World, no. That was by the way, that was my welcome wagon almost 20 years ago when I got into the department. One 21st century sub-grantee was planning to take the whole 21st century program to Disney World. And I put a stop, and then I was on the paper like the mean person. The mean person that these poor kids, if it wasn't for this opportunity, they never would have gone to Disney World, and now I've ruined their childhood. Because I didn't allow them to go to 21st century, to Disney World. So we'll look at all that. Yeah, it's entertaining. I'm gonna miss all these entertaining pieces when I retire, but I'm gonna tell you, it sounds like a lot of work, but I think somebody said earlier, take the time and meet with your fiscal people. I'm lucky that I have it within my division, and they're part of the team. Some places you have to go to a different department, different office within your department, but take the time to talk to your fiscal people. Get your numbers, how much money we have in the account, how much money I will have for the next award, why I cannot use all the money. Do that, and even though it sounds like a lot of work, at the end, it will be a lot better for all of you as a SCA coordinator. Thank you, and have a wonderful lunch.